Alright, it is 9:39 a.m. and so far I've had two trades and they were both with NWBO. I will be watching this to see if maybe it can try to continue and make a move towards the upside, but right now they're having a lot of sellers at the ask and it's been trying to push it back under $2, but maybe it can try to hold itself and perhaps be some kind of a confirmed breakout where it breaks above this level, it uptrends, it downtrends, it holds the level, and then it continues to uptrend later. That could be a thing, but it could also fail. I did get in my first trade at 9:30 at $2. And why did I get in? It was at this candle right here, and I got in at $2. I got in because it looked like at the time it was potentially going to break this $2 level, and that was near the previous high of the other day. So the idea was that it was going to be a new all-time high, I guess, from this new range, and it was going to ideally break the previous high here at $2 and then make a move towards the upside and continue. But I got out the next minute at 199. I lost just $1 because it didn't look like it was going to work out anymore. The price action wasn't looking nice. And yeah, I did downtrend. It got as low as 193. But I've seen this happen before where it kind of has a little dip in the very beginning of the market. And then it turns around, especially when VWAP is a part of the setup too. And then it breaks the level. And that's clearly what happened here. I got in at 933 at 199, which was right here when it was looking like it was potentially trying to do it. And I had to kind of be in a little early because a lot of these, at least from my previous experience, if it does it, it's going to really uptrend towards the upside, and then I won't be able to be a part of it because it'll be too quick. And again, I was in right here at 199. Looks like it's just starting to struggle now a little. And I got out at 934, half of my position, which has been something I've been trying to do at this 204.5 level. Yeah, 934. So I got out right around here, half of my position. And then I thought, in theory, there's going to potentially be a trend line from here to here. And ideally, it continues to follow the trend line and shoot towards the sky. And if it doesn't, I'll consider selling the other half. And that was the case. It didn't continue. So I did sell at 935 the rest of my shares at this 202.5 level. So right around right here is when I sold. So again, I sold some here. I sold some here. And then I was in right here, and I think that was a pretty good setup for what it was. I'll continue to watch it. If this thing ends up maybe downtrending a lot, it could be a morning panic bounce play setup, and I'll be interested in that. The only other setup that I saw that was impressive was SYXX. I don't mind missing this one too much because it wasn't looking that nice at the time. It wasn't like a proper morning panic bounce play, it just had like a gap down and it downtrended a little bit. But very similar with NWBO, how it played around VWAP, and that was a breaking point. But yeah, I just don't like this one. The way it trades is all ugly, but it did, in theory, make a nice move there, and I will make an update later, but that's all I have for right now. Okay, it is 9:51 a.m. and I traded, in theory, a $15 risk level because I traded 15,000 shares on this penny stock CYBL, and I was interested in this one because it was a potential morning panic bounce play, but I just don't like the price action. You can see how it just had a blip as high as 183, but the level 2 doesn't really support it. It's just looking pretty sketchy, but I did see the setup. I did take it, and it wasn't horrible because it had a drop in it. In theory, it could have tried to hold this level right here in the 170s. It didn't have to, of course, but it was downtrending, and then it started to, I guess, accelerate a little more down here. Not necessarily, but you can see how it broke the trend line eventually, and it was starting to consolidate, and then in theory, it could try to uptrend and get to VWAP and maybe even get above it. And I was in it at 949, 15,000 shares at 177. So that was right here, 177. I got in. In theory, I was going to cut the trade if it was going to break the day low and start heading towards, just the 17 flat number. But it did decide to work. I just don't like the way it's trading. But it makes sense because it's not necessarily, something like SYXX where it just has a run up, as you can see right here. This is more of just less ideal overall price action, but I did sell rather quickly at 950, and that was at 181, which was the very top right here. It did kind of break this 178 level, and then 178 showed up at the bid, and then 183 was at the ask, so I kind of just threw a sell at 178, and I got executed at 181. And I also got in the setup because a 200K bidder showed up at 176. That's why I got in the setup in the first place, even though it was consolidating and broke the trend line and everything. It wasn't too ideal, and it wasn't down that much on the day either, but I did see the chart pattern. I'll make an update as to what this one does eventually. NWBO did try to get to $2 here, but there were just way too many people selling their shares at the ask, so I wasn't able to break past it. I'll make an update later. Okay, it is 10:55 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I am up on the day, $10.38. Yep, that is the right amount. And that was trading NWBO twice and then trading CYBL. Really happy with the way I traded NWBO. This actually ended up being a good short, and if I was able to, maybe I would have even have considered shorting it. But I liked it because I was trying that breakout over that $2 level, and I sold in two pieces. I was giving it a chance for it to potentially uptrend some more, which it didn't do, which is fine, but I gave it that chance, and that allowed me so that if it were to have continued to uptrend further, I would have been able to make much more money. And then I did try CYBL, and I'm glad I tried it. This ended up being, not the bottom. It ended up downtrending a lot more, and I lost interest, especially when it started to get more jumpy. I didn't like the price action that much, but at least I took it for what it was, and it did play out. And the only other setup that was really interesting was SYXX. It did do like a almost like a regular green taste setup where it's just constantly uptrending and playing around VWAP, but I don't mind missing this one because I just don't like the way this one trades. And I do have I did buy $11 worth of THER. This doesn't have to work out at all, but maybe it's something I still need to develop and get better at. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of just PRCX and a little bit of SYXX, where just you look at the chart and it's just absolutely dead, and it just does this, but then all of a sudden you see like the big volume show up, and then the thing starts uptrending massively over a longer period of time. And maybe I'm totally wrong, but I did buy at the time a very small amount of shares, just 500 shares. You can see it's kind of similar, although maybe not as nice. And I did end up buying just an $11 position, not actually at a good price. It ended up being much more of a downtrend later on, but I did buy just 500 shares, an $11 position at 1021 at 23, which was around right here. Right, it ended up being a horrible price because it immediately started the downtrend, and it trades with such a wide spread. If this thing goes to like zero, I'm out $11. Uh, that's pretty much all there is to it. But I'm willing to just throw $11 there with the idea that maybe it can actually be something like PRCX or SYXX was, and just maybe continue the uptrend over a longer period of time. It obviously doesn't have to be the case, but it's it's something that it could do, and it's just something in the making. Just a very small position. If I were to sell right now, it'd be like a $5 or $6 loss, which is fine. And yeah, that's about it. In terms of the day trading, that was pretty good. And again, just a really small speculative position with THER just to see if it actually does anything. That's all I have for today. And I'm pretty thankful to God, really, and just, I guess starting off the week well, even if I end up doing horribly, especially trading that morning pennant bounce with CYBL. That was a pretty nice setup to have right after NWBO the other day. And I also mentioned in my weekly recap my idea with buying NWBO if it were to have broken $2, and it actually did it today, so that was pretty cool too.